Xabi Alonso, his knowledge of the game very high. He was coached by Guardiola, by myself, by Ancelotti, by Benitez. If you put all this together, I think Xabi has conditions to be a very good coach.
Xabi Alonso is rapidly cultivating something special at Bayer Leverkusen. The former Liverpool, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich star is now shaping up to be one of the finest managerial prospects in all of world football. He's even been given the nickname the Professor. Why? Because in the space of a year, he has revolutionized Bayer Leverkusen from 17th place, the depths of relegation, to European football and now top of the Bundesliga. But it's not just the results. The brand of football being produced is supremely entertaining, averaging 4 goals per game, more than any other side in Europe. His immediate success in management has led to speculation that he could become the next Real Madrid or Liverpool boss down the track. So how on earth has he managed to pull all this off in such a short period of time? Let's find out. Xabi Alonso is widely regarded as one of the finest midfielders of his generation. Known for his exceptional passing ability, vision, and football intelligence, the Spaniard had a wonderful playing career. He was an instrumental figure in Spain's golden era, contributing to their FIFA World Cup and both European Championship victories. On a domestic level, it was a similar story. 14 trophies across 3 of Europe's finest clubs. Long story short, the guy was really good at football. At 35, he decided to call it a day, even though he was still a world-class player and a first-team regular at Bayern Munich. But Alonso's career in football was by no means over. In fact, it had only just begun. When you've played under the leadership of Ancelotti, Mourinho, Guardiola, Del Bosque and Benitez, you'd probably learn a thing or two in the process. And considering that his father was also a Spanish international and an experienced manager, a career in management was written in the stars. So it came as no surprise that the Spaniard had completed his UEFA Elite coaching course alongside former international teammates Xavi, Victor Valdez and Raul before learning on the job at youth level, coaching Real Madrid's U13 side. His first ever spell in coaching was a remarkable success. 22 wins, 1 draw in 23 games that season, scoring 142 goals, conceding just 12 and winning the title. The following season, he returned back to where it all started, as Alonso was appointed manager of Real Sociedad B in the 3rd tier of Spanish football. Alonso's first season performances had all the makings of a talented yet inexperienced manager, with a leaky defense and a lack of ruthlessness in the final third, but simultaneously a richly entertaining style of play. In his second season though, he achieved something extraordinary, securing promotion back into the 2nd tier for the first time since 1962. It was clear for all to see, Alonso was destined for the very top, but he would do so at his own pace, rejecting a job offer from Borussia Mönchengladbach that same season. His final season at Real Sociedad B was more challenging, as he was unable to avoid the drop back into the 3rd division, but he had already performed a miracle and realized it was time to move on, stepping down from head coach after a roller coaster 3-year spell. He was now ready for top flight management. He just needed the right opportunity. But what happened next came as a massive surprise, when in October of 2022, he would receive the call from Bayer Leverkusen. Now at the time, many people viewed this appointment as a reckless decision. For context, Leverkusen were in a dire situation. They'd won only 2 games in their opening 12 that season. They were already knocked out of the DFB Pokal to a 3rd division side, and worst of all, were sat in 17th place, their worst ever start to a Bundesliga campaign. A total disaster, especially considering that they finished 3rd the season prior. So for a club of that stature to have then put faith in a manager that was yet to experience a top flight environment was a massive risk, and from the outside looking in, completely irrational. But it didn't take long for Alonso to implement his vision. In fact, it took 1 game. In his first match day as manager, he set the team up in a 3-4-3 with an emphasis on high intensity pressing and close connection possession. That day, they battered Schalke 4-0, with their young stars Jeremy Frimpong and Moussa Diaby shining for Alonso. It was a statement performance. That being said, it wasn't the easiest of starts for Alonso. Leverkusen were winless in their following 6 games, including a 5-1 drumming at the hands of Eintracht Frankfurt. But it was a transitional period, and steadily the players started to comprehend the Spanish tactician's unique footballing philosophy. But what is his philosophy? Well, there lies the most intriguing component of Alonso's approach to management. As a player, he thrived in a team that focused heavily on possession, but in terms of his own tactical model, it's far more nuanced. Alonso is drawn from the many different ideas he encountered playing under a variety of elite managers, including including his upbringing at boyhood club Real Sociedad. As a result, Alonso has a more adaptive approach that is constantly evolving depending on the circumstances. Against inferior opposition, Alonso's team will always look to play an attractive brand of football with an emphasis on pressing and dominating possession. However, Alonso learnt the hard way that this approach doesn't always yield results. His first match in the Champions League was against Porto. Leverkusen had 65% possession and 17 shots to Porto's 5 that day, yet they lost 3-0. Alonso quickly saw the importance of tactical flexibility and at times pragmatism, saying, "If I feel something but my players don't, my ideas are useless. I have to change and be at their service." He realized that stabilizing Leverkusen's defense was more important than simply controlling possession. So as the season went on, Leverkusen's playing style was constantly adapting. Some games they would prioritize midfield control, others they'd sit back, absorb pressure, and utilize their explosive wingers and wingbacks to great effect. This approach completely rejuvenated the club, and by late January, halfway through the season, Leverkusen had catapulted their way up into 8th in the league. Adding to the excitement was the return of prodigious wonder kid Florian Wirtz, who had now successfully recovered from an ACL tear. A player who seemed destined to thrive in Alonso's attack-minded side and would be key to their Europa League ambitions. Their first knockout match was against Monaco, who they overcame on penalties after an epic 5-all draw over the 2 legs, and of course, Florian Wirtz was key, with 2 goals and an assist in the tie. They then breezed past Hungarian outfit Ferencváros 4-0 on aggregate in the round of 16, followed by another victory, this time against Victor Boniface's Union Saint-Gilloise side in the quarters. More on Boniface later. In the semis, Leverkusen faced Jose Mourinho's Roma. Remember, Mourinho and Alonso formerly worked together at Madrid. It was a captivating tie, master v apprentice. In the first leg, Mourinho's side stuck to their counter-attacking principles and narrowly prevailed in a 1-0 victory in Rome. But the second leg was peak Jose Mourinho. Mourinho's Roma well and truly brought the bus to Leverkusen that day, and they held out for a 0-0 draw to advance in an utterly one-sided affair. Leverkusen had 23 shots compared to Roma's 1 attempt, which was off target. So in the end, the master prevailed in the most infuriating of circumstances. But Alonso's Leverkusen were still full of optimism. They finished the Bundesliga campaign in 6th place, earning a spot in the Europa League, a stunning turnaround considering their grim outlook back in October. Alonso's impact was undeniable, but at the same time, this side needed significant strengthening to compete with the big boys. Now, Bayern may have captured all the media attention with the headline transfer of Harry Kane from Tottenham. This was one of the biggest moves in Bundesliga history after all. But all the while, Alonso's Leverkusen were making calculated signings. Granit Xhaka joined the club from Arsenal for 15 million euros. This deal in particular emphasized Alonso's pulling power. Xhaka was a key player for Arsenal and approaching the twilight of his career, but Alonso assured him of his importance to the project, and the Swiss captain ultimately agreed to join. Alejandro Grimaldo joined on a free transfer from Benfica, a left-sided wingback with exceptional technique and attacking qualities. Up top, and Victor Boniface was purchased from Union Saint-Gilloise for over 20 million euros following a stellar Europa League campaign where he scored against Leverkusen in the quarterfinals and finished as the competition's top scorer. But then Leverkusen were dealt a hammer blow with the departure of Moussa Diaby to Aston Villa for 55 million euros. Leverkusen never wanted to lose this player, but still put their money to great effect, purchasing Jonas Hoffmann from Borussia Mönchengladbach for 10 million euros and their biggest signing of the summer, Nathan Teller, on deadline day for 23 million euros. In total, they added 8 players to their squad, spending a little over 80 mil in the process. A well-executed transfer window, and the subsequent results have been remarkable. Leverkusen have made a simply stunning start to the 2023-24 season. They are unbeaten in their opening 9 matches. They sit top of the Bundesliga and have scored 32 goals during this period. They aren't simply winning games either, they're battering their opponents, with the majority of their new signings making a huge impact. Granit Xhaka has been superb. Lukas Hradecky may wear the captain's armband, but the Swiss star has taken on a significant leadership role within his new club already. Alejandro Grimaldo has slotted in perfectly in that left wing back role. He's already bagged 6 goal contributions in 8 games this season, including 2 outrageous free kicks. This man is a dead ball specialist, and with Jeremy Frimpong wreaking havoc on the opposite flank, Leverkusen now possess 2 of world football's best wingbacks. But the front third has been equally spectacular. Florian Wirtz is now back to his brilliant best. People forget that prior to his ACL injury, he was performing at an identical level to Jude Bellingham and Jamal Musiala, both of which are now arguably at a world-class level. So with 6 goal contributions in his his opening 8 games this season, his trajectory is sky high. In saying that, he hasn't been their best player this season. Fellow playmaker and new recruit Jonas Hoffmann has hit the ground running at Leverkusen with 5 goals, 3 assists in 8 games. By far, one of the most underrated players in Europe right now, but it comes as no surprise really. Hoffmann hit double digits in goals and assists last season for a struggling Borussia Mönchengladbach, so now playing for one of the most entertaining and attack-minded sides in Europe, a perfect change of scenery for the German international. But then there's the X factor, a player whose potential is genuinely frightening in Victor Boniface. Standing at 6'4" tall, the Nigerian is a physical monster with immense pace and aerial prowess, but what makes this guy so special is that he also possesses outrageous technical ability. The dribbling, the flair, the finishing. In my opinion, he is the complete package. A player who could demand a stupendous fee in the years to come. 8 goals, 3 assists so far this season. He is that guy. All in all, Alonso's Leverkusen is thriving in every single area of the pitch this season. At an individual and collective level, Alonso has taken this squad to another dimension, prompting the conversation that they could genuinely compete for the Bundesliga title. Granted, it's early days. Bayern and probably Leipzig too have far more depth at their disposal. At this stage, it's highly unlikely that Bayern's 11-year dominance will come to a sudden halt at the hands of Leverkusen, but simultaneously, there's something so special about this team. In terms of the players, in terms of the manager, and their overall mentality, that performance away at Bayern was a prime example. They were unfazed by the occasion and matched the German champions throughout. Often referred to as Neverkusen for their tragic misfortune in the past, the club still bears the mental scars of repeatedly falling short of silverware. But a man like Xabi Alonso, a proven winner, could rewrite the club's entire history. However, it'll want to happen sooner rather than later, because Alonso is already being linked with the likes of Liverpool and more prominently Real Madrid. In fact, the Spaniard is now the heavy favourite to take over from Carlo Ancelotti, whose contract expires in 2024. It's merely speculation at this stage, however Alonso is almost destined to reach this level in due time. But for now, Alonso's full focus is on Leverkusen. At every stage of his managerial career, he has delivered success. However, the odds are well and truly stacked against him in Germany. Dethroning Bayern Munich is a different beast altogether. Only time will tell if the professor can pull off another miracle, but what are your thoughts on Alonso's Leverkusen? Let me know in the comments below. Regardless, thanks for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you next time.